In this video, I show you how to make Greek orzo and chicken casserole, better known in Greece as giouvetsi, which is a popular dish in Greece. The main ingredient, orzo, is made from pasta that has been cut into tiny pieces that resemble rice. This is a great dish to have in winter when you're wanting something hearty and warm to eat. Here's how I make it. Heat a large pot over a stove for a couple of minutes on high heat. Add a couple of tablespoons of oil and start cooking the chicken drumsticks. I've got 9 drumsticks, which I have seasoned with salt and pepper. In this recipe, I'm making it with chicken. However, you can use beef or lamb, or you can make it vegetarian by replacing the meat with extra vegetables. In that regard, this is quite a versatile dish. We just want to brown the chicken at this stage, and then we're going to remove it and place it onto a clean plate. We don't need to cook the chicken completely, as we are going to add the chicken back into the sauce later on and cook it for a further hour or so, which will finish the cooking process. Once browned, I take the chicken out of the pot and put it onto a clean plate and start making the sauce. The bottom of the pan, as you can see, has lots of brown bits stuck to it. Do not, under any circumstances, clean the pot. Leave those brown bits in it. It will add extra flavour to the dish. I add a little bit of extra oil to the cooking pot and then add 2 medium diced onions and cook those for a couple of minutes until they start to become translucent. Next, I add 2 peeled and chopped carrots and cook those for a further 2 minutes with the onions. After another couple of minutes, I add 150 grams of sliced mushrooms and cook those in the mixture for another 2 to 3 minutes until they start to wilt. Once wilted, I add a cup of white wine to deglaze the pan and cook for another 2 to 3 minutes to allow the alcohol to evaporate, leaving behind the fruity flavours of the wine. After the alcohol is evaporated, I add 2.5 cups of passata to the pot. I'm using homemade passata that a friend of mine gave me. If you don't have homemade passata, you can use passata bought from a store. It's totally okay. I also add a tin of chopped tomatoes, as well as 1 litre of chicken stock, and give it all a good stir. For the spices, I add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of basil, a teaspoon of oregano, 3 bay leaves, and 1 cinnamon stick. I add them into the sauce and give it all a good stir. You'll notice that I added some garlic after I added all the spices. I was meant to add that into the pot after adding the mushrooms and before adding the wine, but I forgot. So I've added it into the sauce, as it's better late than never. You have to put garlic in this dish, otherwise it can't be Greek. I'm serious. Once the sauce has come up to the boil, I add the chicken back into the pot with the sauce and cover it with a lid to cook for 1 hour. I leave the lid slightly ajar to allow for steam to escape out of the pot so the sauce can thicken. After the chicken has been cooking in the sauce for an hour, I take the chicken out of the pot and pull the chicken off the bone. Now you might be wondering why I used bone chicken rather than filleted chicken. I think the bones add additional flavour to the dish, and the chicken on drumsticks tends to be quite tender, and so it's my first preference when making a chicken casserole like this. It might take a few extra minutes to pull the chicken off the bone, but I think it's worth it. I return the shredded chicken back to the sauce mixture and allow it to cook for a few more minutes to absorb the sauce flavour. Then I add 2 cups of orzo, which is also known as risoni, into the mixture and give that a good stir. If you can't find orzo in your area, You could potentially replace the orzo with macaroni or elbow pasta or any other small shaped pasta. That's totally okay. I allow that to cook for about 10 minutes, which is enough time for the orzo to cook completely and absorb the remaining liquid. If you find the mixture becomes dry and the orzo is not cooked through properly when you taste test it, add some more water to the pot and allow the orzo to continue cooking, like I did. Once cooked through, it's time to serve. Add a good portion of the giouvetsi to a plate. With a Greek salad and your favourite crusty bread on the side, this is one satisfying meal that is relatively cheap to make. Add this to your favourites and cook this when you're in need of something hearty to fill you up on those cold winter days and nights. I hope you give this a try and let me know what you think in the comments. Also, please consider liking this video and giving me a follow. Take care everyone.